Are you still doing any cardio at all? Because anyone on this podcast knows that cardio is my mortal enemy. I mean, I'll do it, but it's just it's not working.
No, no, I have not done steady state cardio, which is what us bodybuilders are kind of used to, the Stairmaster or the elliptical or the treadmill. I've never been a fan of steady state cardio. I would rather do functional cardio. I'd rather jump rope. I'd rather swim. I'd rather do something functional. So I have not done steady state probably since my prep of last year. I did the St. Louis Pro in April, so I really just cut back on it drastically. And boxing and jujitsu, right there, those two alone, that's enough cardio for me. I do not need any more. I'm in the gym 7 days a week, pretty much. I don't really take a day off. So I have to back off the cardio. I need to be careful to not do too much. So between the jujitsu, boxing, lifting, I'm good. I'm good with steady state cardio. I don't know if I'll ever do it again.
No, believe me, I wish I was at that point in my life where I could do that. But yeah, I put on a few pounds during the quarantine and throughout the winter, which is when you live up in the upper Midwest, we're gonna have snow 9 months out of the year, so you might as well. That's your time
Right.
when you're in sweaters, so it really doesn't matter what you look like. So yeah, I got to get on that. But one thing that I find fascinating, because like you said, you are so big and muscular. Have you found that at times you have maybe had to go a little bit easier on people where you might not know your own strength? Where if you're dealing with someone that is a little bit smaller than you, I've had the problem too because I'm 6'3", 200 pounds, where, if I'm, you know, playing basketball or something against someone and the person's like a 6 inches shorter than me and maybe like 50 pounds lighter, I sometimes don't know my own strength and I might, accidentally like shove them
Yeah.
to the ground, just like doing something that normally wouldn't. So have you found that to be the case too?
Yeah. I'm a little afraid to see like if I were to go full force. Like I do go kind of full force in training, like when I roll and stuff, but it's like I'm there to train. I'm not really there to like take people's heads off. Like we're all there to learn and I want everybody just to be comfortable versus like, oh man, like I don't want to train with her. Like all she's gonna want to do is just take my head off and go crazy versus, just kind of going with the flow, feeling the person's energy, just going through the movements and the drills and everything that you learn. So I don't know. The only one, probably my coach, if I roll with him, he's a black belt. So it's like when you roll with higher belts, you're like, all right, now I need to be prepared to be a little bit more explosive and strong and not really hold back. But I'm afraid of my own strength. You're right. I'm afraid I really will break their arm. Like if I go right into it and pull it, like I'm afraid. So I just kind of ease it back, like until they're ready to tap versus like in a competition, of course, if I were to compete in jiu-jitsu, hopefully soon, I would do it full force. So I guess I'll figure out then
Hey, the
if I
local
end up
hospitals will
breaking.
thank you because they'll have plenty of work. I mean, you'll provide them with a lot of patients. No, but I mean, yeah, it's one of those things that isn't talked about when people, start to really get into really great shape, is that, sometimes you do really need to, I mean, with all the benefits that being strong and muscular really have. I mean, there are those situations where you're like, hey, I don't know really what I'm fully capable of, but
And I
when
don't
it
want to
comes,
kill somebody or like hurt somebody so bad they can't come back and train.
yeah,
I would feel horrible. I wouldn't want someone doing that to me because some of these guys, like, I mean, they see me and they're like, oh, okay, she's big and muscular. Like, I'm gonna try to take her head off. And that's exactly what they do. Like they go so hardcore with me. And then I'm like, all right, if you want to play that game, I'll play that game then. And then that's when, they start to be like, all right, what do you do? And I'm like, what do you mean, what do I do? And they're like, what do you do? Like, I'm for like living? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm a pro bodybuilder. And they're like, ah, that explains everything.
we've said it before. The only answer that's necessary is that you say, I don't lift any weights at all, and just leave it to them. Just be like, this is all just naturally God given. I've never even touched a weight.
Right.
And then just, yeah, but no, yeah, I mean, if they don't know that you're a bodybuilder just by looking at you, like right now, but then again, you are in what they make you wear. So it's a little bit restricted. I mean, I have a photo that I'll have pop up of her in that. And yeah, it's a little bit less restrictive, but one thing that we talk about all the time with bodybuilding is the mental issues that go along with the sport, where it comes to, I mean, it's so much more of a mental sport, and MMA can be similar as well. But with, I mean, a lot of bodybuilders I talk to, they deal with body dysmorphia, which is a huge problem that affects a lot of people. And it's affected me too. I mean, I've had times where I've walked up to people and said, hey, do I look fat at all? And they're like, no, you have like a six pack or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, just checking, just making sure. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
everyone has a little bit
Confirmation.
of it, I think, but especially with this, where your body went through a drastic change, where, like you said, you've lost maybe a little bit of the muscle, but you still have a lot of it on. But how has that been for you mentally, just adjusting to this new shape and new size?
Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to be more of like an athletic type of bodybuilder. I don't want to look like this big, like blocky bowling ball, like walking around. I've always wanted to have more of a lean aesthetic look. So that's kind of the route it's going. I still look like a bodybuilder, but at the same time, I look like an athlete, versus like, oh, she just looks like a bodybuilder. Some people think I fight, I wrestle, CrossFit. bodybuilding, they can't figure it out, because they're like, all right, she's big, she's muscular, she's strong, but what does she do with it? Like that's that's kind of the route that it goes. So
She works an IT job. That's what she does with it.
right, right. So I mean, I'm okay with losing a little bit of size. Like I don't know if I'll compete in bodybuilding again, honestly. This year, of course, being with all this madness, it's crossed off. I've just mentally checked out for this year. I don't know what 2021 will bring, but I'm gonna get into more, the boxing event I do. Hopefully they'll have Ju Jitsu shows that open back up, and I'm just gonna go from there. If I'm in my zone, I'm enjoying it, I'm liking it. I'm okay with it. Bodybuilding has already prepared me mentally for the good, the bad, the ugly, the in between. So just love yourself. I mean, that's really what it boils down to.